During programs and conversations, people love to talk about some of these concepts in a little bit more natural environments. So I bring in some natural lessons from nature, from gardening, from homesteading into these conversations so we can back up from being humans for a moment and really see how we're disrupting the natural flow that can happen. Now, there's a lot here to learn from nature, so I'm just going to go through the top 5 that I think really gets the discussion going that you can bring back to your team and open the conversation to start to break what has been so that you can start to step in what could be. Let's begin with what's going on in the garden. Our first stop is going to be baby tomatoes. Now, we love baby tomatoes because we can roast them for soups, spaghetti sauces. I freeze them and give them to the chickens during summer so they can have a nice icy treat. We use them for all different things. We also use them in fresh salads and pasta salads. But they're very fickle beans because they want to crawl. They're climbers. So you want to put it on like a trellis or something to climb up to. Now, where the lesson comes in. There's a way to do it in which helps them flow up, and then there's a way to do it in which you actually suffocate them and you limit their growth. Let's bring this into your team. So there are certain behavioral work styles within DISC, our D's dominance and our I's influence, and they want more free range. They don't like tight perimeters because they feel like they're being suffocated. They're losing their creativity or they're losing ownership of the variables that they can control. Now, D's are dominance. They're our fast-paced people. They want results and they want results like now. So putting them in a really tight netting is going to actually restrict what they can produce, and it's actually kind of pissing them off. Eyes influence, there are connection social bunnies, and they love to be creative. They love to chase shiny objects. So again, having a tight netting, tight parameters around them is limiting what they can do. And over time, this is going to cause them extra stress. This is actually squashing the innovation that they could bring. Now, on the flip side of that, our S's, supportives, and our C's, compliance, they are more slow, methodical. They like to have processes in place. They actually welcome parameters. They like it because they have a sense of direction and it's lowering the risk so that they can focus on the quality and the sustainability of the process. So when I'm doing baby tomatoes, yes, I'm gardening, but in this leadership lesson that we're talking about right now on how it applies to behavioral patterns that you're seeing, there's things that will aid them in growth shooting straight up, and then there's things that are going to limit that growth, limit the produce of the fruit, the productivity that you might be seeing. So for example, if you see your baby tomatoes kind of stop their growth, right, they're done shooting up, or once you got them into that netting, they just stop sprouting up. That might be like your D's and your I's, the fast paced, freely moving creatives in your team. You're putting too many parameters on them, and really shifting to an outcome based approach versus all these type parameters is going to aid in a natural productivity flow, versus your S and your C's, your slow and methodical type of behavior patterns that you might see. This type of tight netting is going to help them because they just want to go. They just want to produce, but they want some parameters. They don't want to have to navigate all that extra risk, maybe worry about other departments that they can't even control, other variables in play that they can't even navigate or get enough information from. They don't want to deal with that. They just want to crawl up the truss and produce and produce. So they're looking for quality. They're looking for the most fruit that they can provide. Give them the tools that they need. So you can already see where how you navigate your baby tomatoes is very similar to how you navigate your team. If you have a D or an I, you want to give them that free range with still the outcome that you want. So that means there's multiple paths to get there. Let them free range a little bit and check in often if you need to de-risk to make sure that they're still on the right path. Versus your S and your C's that are slow and methodical, that like the tighter netting, they want to de-risk the situation. They want to have it repeatable because they want to do a good job and they want that high quality. So as a leader, what you want to do is put parameters in place that removes that risk and gets stability into the conversation, so they can focus on the production and the quality that they bring. Now you can already see where the D's and the I's and the S and the C's will be at conflict with each other within a team, because some want parameters and some do not. Some do really well with free range all over the place, and some just want high quality systems, repeatable processes so they can do high quality work. Knowing which team player is which work style is going to aid you on how you set up your netting or your environment for them to grow and produce. Leadership lesson number 2 from the garden is you don't need all the things before you get started, before you have the next big idea, before you become innovative and creative on using the brains and the beautiful minds within your team. This is a trough, and this is actually an older way of gardening where you put some decomposing material like old logs, old sticks. You pile some compost type material, leaves, old grass clippings, and then you pile some dirt on the top. And you create like a mound system. So I have some logs at the bottom here. I got some compost material, old leaves from fall, grass clippings, and then I piled some dirt from like the back of the yard on top. And I literally just plopped some seeds in. Like, there is not much science behind this. And this is probably my most produced section of the garden. And it's because it's using this decomposing material right underneath it that was just available in my yard. And it's using that to fertilize and feed these seedlings. So this year, because I wasn't sure if it was going to work, it was a new thing for me. I just planted things that if it comes up, great. We're gonna eat some good stuff, freeze some things. If it doesn't, it's not a big deal. So I moved. I got some strawberries from people. I plopped them in here. I put some squash and pumpkin seeds. Let's see what happens there. If anything, I'll get a few seeds for next year. And pretty much everything popped, and it is flourishing. Obviously, you can't even see the mound right now, and none of this costs me anything. And I think as leaders, sometimes we need all of the things before we can start. We want the fancy software, which I agree, like you need good systems in place and software to use, but sometimes we don't even start fixing the broken blinkers until we have the software. Sometimes you want like this unicorn of a candidate that is going to solve all your problems, when your problems are the communication and trust issues that you're having on your team. That's what's really going to enhance the product and the quality for your customers. Sometimes you think that you need all the conferences and training before you can even start having a conflict conversation. And at times you just need to open the door to the conversation and start. So why I'm going through this leadership lesson right now is this section of the garden is my most produced, least maintenance section of the garden. And it all came from things that were already there, that were already available to us, tools, as you could say, to build such a producing environment. And I know that based on these mound systems, it actually gets richer every year because the compost material underneath, the logs, the sticks, all that, the leaves, it's going to get richer and richer every year as that decomposes. So what in your systems, in your processes, in your environment, do you need to start addressing that is low-hanging fruit, low-hanging vegetables in this case, that you can already use within your office, within your remote environment, within the conversations you're already having, that can actually get you more production if you just start attacking it. And specific to this conversation, where to start is those broken blinkers. And a great question that I prompt teams with is, what's the one thing that keeps coming up that is making production a hurdle, right? Or making that client service that you offer a little less? What's the one thing? And that just opens the team to discussing the broken blinkers, right? And then you can go from there and discuss what is the biggest broken blinker, address that one broken blinker. Once it's fixed, go to the next one. But I know it's a tall task to open that can of worms, as leaders like to say, but there are already things in your grasp within your team. You just need to be asking the right questions and guiding the right discussions to remove the hurdles. Instead of waiting until you have the big budget, make an initiative for next quarter or next year for your team to address the top couple broken blinkers within your team so that you can get back to natural production and high quality work for your customers, because all the tools are right already in front of you. Speaking of tools that we have right in front of us, I use my weed barrier as just boxes from shipping stuff, Amazon boxes, and that's how I keep my weeds down. As long as you keep using box layers, it definitely helps. I haven't kept up with my box weed barrier this year, so it got a little out of hand, but they work fantastic. Use the tools already instead of buying all the expensive things. Now, going back to leadership lessons, here's number 3. Do you see this mess here? Let me show you. Do you see all the different things in this section? So this was actually going to be tea leaves. And I drink a lot of tea just to repair my gut, my adrenal gland, my liver after burnout collapse and the destruction it did physically to me. I take a lot of herbal remedies, and some of them I can grow myself. And I wanted a more controlled environment for this type of growth. So I made a little tea area, and I made the mistake of grabbing soil from the wrong area of our yard. And then I also added some like old pot soil from plants and seedlings that are no longer growing, and I threw them in there for extra soil because I didn't want to buy the soil. And over time, this year, we pretty much have a mix of everything but tea leaves. All the different weeds from grabbing that soil have grown again here. All the field flowers that I don't want in my garden have grown here in this bed. And this is very similar to what we're going to get into with this leadership lesson. Number 3 is job matching. 2 decades in HR, I have seen this as in the HR role, and then I see this as a third-party consultant to companies, is we place people into positions without really understanding the job. We mismatch people because of an education, or maybe they have a certain skill set, but the work style is a complete mismatch. For example, in sales, if you want a hunter, right, a road warrior, and you hire someone in that disc work style of an S or a C, which are slow, methodical stability, you already have a mismatch. They don't want to go out cold calling. They don't find enjoyment in it. It's really risky. It's a lot of rejection. They want to be like farming accounts. So a farming type of sales account where accounts already established, they have contacts at this company, they're going to grow the products and services that you're offering them. That is a good sales position for them. That's a match because they're building relationships. They're methodical in their processes. They're really good at follow up and that high quality delivery. Headhunting's not their thing. Headhunting is for those D's and I's, right? High social interaction. They want to win. They love the shiny objects. They love the change. And that's the job match that you want for a headhunter type of sales role. So let's get back to this mess here. I grabbed a bunch of different soil without evaluating what was in that soil. I just needed soil, and that's what I focused on, is plopping the thing that I need into place without considering all the underlying dynamics within it. And that's where job matching comes in. If you are not addressing the natural work styles of your candidates before you place them, you probably have a bad hire. And it's not because they're a bad person, that they don't have the skill set. It's that you completely mismatched the job. That they have the certain skill set or experience or even education, but if they don't naturally work a certain way and you put them into a job that needs a different way, you instantly have conflict that comes up, performance issues, and stress. This is how people get burnt out, is you put them into a spot that they naturally do not thrive and will not succeed. So they're always fighting that every day. Now, on an individual level, you need to understand even what work style you are so you can apply for the right jobs, so you can get promoted into the right jobs. And so understanding the behind behavioral patterns that naturally fit within a job will help you hire not only the right people, but people who naturally thrive in that type of environment. By doing a nice job matching of what the job requires, but also the behavior patterns that naturally work well within it, you will find the right candidates have a really good fit and longer standing and sustainable performance. Otherwise, you end up with just plopping a whole lot of different plants that aren't going to produce what you're looking for. Number 4, are you navigating in meetings and across projects not only the volume, but the amount of discussion across your team members? Now, as I've been saying, our D's and our I's, our dominance and our influence in disc behavioral science, they will take over a conversation because they want a voice, because they want results, and they want to get things moving. Versus our S and our C's, our supportives and our compliance, they're slower, methodical because they're seeing the gaps, they're seeing the process steps, they're de-risking the situation as they go, and figuring out that not only the things that they have to be doing to make sure that's successful, but also to make sure that you're producing high quality. Now, I tried companion planting in an overcrowded nature this year to try to eliminate some weed situations that I had going in previous years. And so I paired up cauliflower and zucchini because they use different minerals from the soil. They're good companion plants. And they, because of the leaf nature of them, will cause less weeds. And it caused problems, actually. And this is my first year, so garden lessons learned, leader lessons learned. This is what's going on in this bed of zucchini and cauliflower. You can see that the zucchini plants have basically overcrowded the cauliflower plants that also have big leaves, but they don't have space to grow. They are being really shoved up by these zucchini leaves. And then it's also causing some bug problems because there's not enough airflow. So we're getting a little bit of mildew issues that I keep trimming leaves back, but it keeps coming back. And there's just not enough space for the cauliflower to grow. This is very similar to those D and I's versus S and C's dynamics because the zucchini, which is like our D's and I's, is overpowering this space. They're taking over, saying, I need more space and I'm going to create bigger leaves to take it over. Is it producing lots of zucchini? Absolutely. But guess what? At the cost of the cauliflower, which is our S and our C's. That cauliflower is going to take all season to grow. Zucchini grows in like less than 12 weeks. It's like busting out zucchini ready to go. The cauliflower takes almost all season to grow, and it's slow, methodical. It's going to create beautiful white florets of cauliflower, but only if it has space to do so. Do you hear what I'm saying? S and C's are slow and methodical, but it's because they're filling in the blanks, they're de-risking the situation, they want that high quality, so they're going to provide all that background support, data and details to make sure it's successful. It takes time to do that, doesn't it? They also are reflecting, so you might want to make a decision right now in a meeting, even though it's the first time you're bringing it up, and S and C's are not participating because they're thinking through the whole situation, they're trying to de-risk and figure out all the details to make sure that we hit the win. And they might not want to make a decision in the meeting, or they are going to be silent because they're thinking through all these things, and our D's and I's are overpowering the conversation. So I'll see this in my virtual mastermind groups. The S and C work styles will use the chat. They don't want to turn the mic on. And the D's and I's automatically jump into the discussion. So sometimes I have to tell the D's and I's to like pause for a moment. Like, let's be quiet and practice what we preach here and let S and C's have the floor for a little bit, even if they want to just use the chat because they feel more comfortable and safe to do it through the chat than the microphone. And understanding those dynamics as a leader is important because if you allow D's and I's to continue overpowering the conversation. That's the only ideas that you're getting. That's the only input that you're getting. And sometimes D's and I's are a little impulsive because they want to get things done. They want the win, maybe. They want results, but they're not thinking through, what happens a year from now, 2 years from now. Whereas S and C's are thinking about all those things. So you want to make sure in large group spaces that you have agendas, that you have enough time for S and C's to reflect, because they are not going to speak up so much in large groups, and maybe they'll talk through it with some other people that can bring up those opinions or information during the meeting. You want to make sure you have small group environments for S and C's to express their concerns, challenges, hurdles, what's going well too, because they'll be more keen to do that in small groups. But knowing, again, on your team who is a D and an I and who is an S and C will help you navigate if one is overcrowding the situation, and one is under voice in the conversation because the team dynamics are off. The interesting thing too, when I do team wheels within DISC, is a company might not be able to sustain their quality, or vice versa. They might be battling a lot of change and not able to navigate through it. And you will see the team one way or another, that it's really heavy. And then, of course, you start moving people around the company or hiring to level out that team wheel a little bit, because they need each other to balance each other out. It's just, I planted too many DIs, zucchini, and I didn't leave enough space for S and C's, the cauliflower, that I caused my own ecosystem problems within this bed. Okay, got a little distracted with some weeding and clipping, so I think we're on number 5 here. And this is our last stop in the garden today. And this is about the right tools to be successful at your job. And sometimes in leadership, we get so stuck on the corporate side, or maybe the overall big strategy, that we forget about execution. And there's times when you have a conversation with a team and you really break down the hurdles that they're having, you see the work styles that they're at, and realign the functions that everyone's doing on the team. And you realize they just don't even have the tools to do a good job. And I'm not talking about fancy things. Sometimes I'm talking about the broken blinker in the system that allows people to put in information to pass to other departments. It hasn't been working. So guess what? People aren't using the system anymore. Or the tools that they need to do their job very frequently during the day is on the other side of the building. Or the one person that all this information has to funnel through and get approved, that person is always busy. No one can get through to them or have meetings with them. They're bogged down, overloaded, and so it's holding up all different processes. So let's talk about right tools for the job for a moment. These are green beans. I planted them late because me and one of my kids are the only ones that eat them. So I wanted to make sure I had enough space in my beds before I planted them, because it's just not a high eating type of vegetable for us. And I've been busy with the other beds and other homestead things that I never put up a trellis or a fencing for it. So they're standing up here and they want to crawl. And if you know green beans, they are going to crawl all the way over an arch trellis if you let them. They are like crazy vines. They grow very fast, and I have not done anything for them yet. And so they're here, like starting to flower, to produce, and they haven't even been able to crawl yet. So I have extremely stinted their growth, because I have not put up something for them to crawl up. And also they're going to start just flopping on the ground, which is going to cause some bug and infestation issues in this bed, because the bugs are going to crawl up from the ground. I have, however, planted some marigolds that are starting to sprout really late, actually, but they're going to keep some of those like aphids and other type of bug situations away because of the smell. They don't like the smell. So what I did is I planted something that's going to deter things that are going to eat away at my plants. What I didn't do is one of the simplest things that I could do, which was put up something for these to climb up. So even though I'm deterring some of the external variables in play that come and eat them, I didn't set them up for success by now allowing them to produce. And where in your team, in your operations, in your process, are you doing the same? So you're looking at some risky situations over here, and you're like, yeah, we need to make sure that doesn't happen. And while you're doing that, you totally forgot about the things that help them succeed. So yes, you're deterring the things that make them fail and trying to remove those hurdles. But at the same time, are you giving them the tools that will help them climb, that will help them succeed? And here's some great examples that I see with my clients is sometimes they're so busy or going through so much change that they don't get people out of the walls, the brick and mortar, out of their teams to go do leadership training, to go to conferences, to go to that local seminar that's happening, and network with their people because they're so busy. And I understand that as someone who came from manufacturing and never could even get out to my HR groups and conferences. But over time, you're just stuck within your own mind. You're stuck within your own team problems that you don't get any new ideas, that innovation starts to decrease. And you kind of lose a sense of purpose and excitement for your career. And when you get out and get that breath of fresh air, start interacting with people and realize, oh, yeah, you guys have the same problem. How are you working through it? You start to get those new ideas, the creativity back, and excitement for your career again. So that's what I'm talking about the successful tools is things like getting out of your brick and mortar to go explore what's going on in your industry, in your similar operations and career paths to help you climb, support you to produce. Simple things like moving tools that are frequently used to the actual user that uses them. Making sure that whoever is holding up the process, whether that's approval or quality checks or customer contact, isn't stinting the growth of the team because they're overloaded, right? You want to make sure those bottlenecks, those key employees, are providing the value where it's needed the most. And sometimes that's just supporting a bunch of other people through approvals, through quality checks, and taking all that other uh, day-to-day tasks off of their list. After we're recording today, I am going to put up my netting so that these babies can start to crawl. Maybe I'm too late. I hope I'm not. But otherwise, these babies are going to crawl a good 5 feet tall once I get that fencing up. And they're going to vine out really nice. The flowers are going to deter the bugs. We've already de-risked that situation, but I'm going to set them up for success by providing what they need. I'm going to put a couple stakes in. I have some old netting from previous years, and that's all they need. They don't need a Pinterest perfect type of setup. They just need some space to crawl. Well, thanks for joining me a little bit in the garden today for some leadership lessons. It's my little garden that's made from things here and there, just like in leadership and teams, you kind of make do with what you got. And we went through 5 pretty important discussions that we have during workforce energy management programs, such as what parameters are you putting in place and are you helping or hurting your team? Using DISC work styles is going to help you navigate that with a little bit more understanding of the behavior patterns going underneath. 2, what materials, tools, things in your operation already do you just need to rearrange for more production? 3, are you job matching? Are you placing people not just on skill set and experience, but on their natural work styles? Or are you just placing weeds from one place to another, waiting for production? 4, are you allowing certain work styles to dominate the conversation, which is actually reducing production of your other 2 slow, methodical, high quality work styles? And then 5, as you're de-risking and removing those hurdles for your team, are you also setting them up for success with the right tools for the job so that they can climb and soar at the pace that they want to? Or are you holding them back because you're too distracted by certain initiatives, certain de-risking, that you have completely forgotten to set them up for success? Leadership isn't perfect. It's messy. It's people. It's understanding the behavior patterns underneath. And once you have some more understanding of that, then you can start to guide a team in a more natural way.